Well, hello there, fellow geeks and geekettes, and welcome to yet another video. I've got some comic book news for you. Not really news, again, a couple of days late, as always, but never mind. Now, it concerns one of the greatest comic books ever written in the history of, well, the comic book writing and in the history of literature itself. It concerns Alan Moore's The Watchmen, and it doesn't really. Well, now, the news is DC Comics announces new Rorschach series from Tom King. Now, this article comes from Bounding into Comics. I will provide a link in the description down below so you can read the article for yourself. Now, I will read out the articles, not that long, and then I will give you my take on the matter. So, once again, DC Comics announces new Rorschach series from Tom King. DC Comics announced a brand new Rorschach series, describing it as a new vision of one of the most riveting characters from Watchmen. The 12th issue maxi series will be written by former Batman writer Tom King and Jorge Fornes, probably butchered the name. The series will be part of DC's Black Label imprint. It will be set 35 years before Ozymandias was exposed for killing thousands of people, well, spoilers, in New York City by dropping a giant telepathic squid on them. In this time period, only the memories of the Minutemen live on. The organization does not exist. Interestingly enough, they also explain that Rorschach has become a cultural icon after he was vaporized by Dr. Manhattan. However, DC Comics explains Rorschach may have spoken truth, but he wasn't a hero. And while he might have been vaporized in Alan Moore's original 1986 Watchmen series, he or at least someone dressed like him will return. Rorschach will be a part of a pair of assassins who attempt to murder a rival candidate to President Robert Redford. Given DC Comics' description of the series, it seems the series won't even follow Rorschach. Instead, they explain it will follow one determined detective as he walks backward in time, uncovering the identities and motives of the would-be killers, taking him deep into a dark conspiracy of alien invasions, disgraced do-gooders, mystical visions, and yes, comic books. King explains the maxi series will be very political, like the HBO Watchmen show and very much like the original 86 Watchmen. This is a very political work. That's what Tom King said. He adds, it's an angry work. We're so angry all the time now. We have to do something with that anger. It's called Rorschach not because of the character Rorschach, but because what you see in these characters tells you more about yourself than about them. This first issue will arrive on comic book shelves on October the 13th, 2020. It will retail for $4.99 and feature a cover by Jorge Fornes. There will also be a variant cover by Jay Lee. Now, what do I think about this? All this. Firstly, as I said, I consider Watchmen by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons to be a cult classic, to be a part of the comic book canon. It is something that, everybody has to read if he or she likes or reads comic books. I would not recommend The Watchmen for beginners, for somebody who wants to get into comics, definitely. It is too much, a hard, deep and philosophical read for that, for somebody to begin reading Watchmen, right? So, but gradually I think that everybody who wants to read or enjoys reading comic books should at least once in their lifetime read Watchmen. This being said, this is it. For me, it is a cult classic. It is a need. It is a must read. For me, it is quite objectively one of the best comics ever written, right? And it is one of those books that shouldn't be touched anymore. It is one of those books and films, really, that are just one of their kind. There are films that I do, and books and comic books, that I do believe should not be remade, or people shouldn't write sequels to them or prequels. It's just simple milking of the particular franchise, as they then start calling these things. Take, for instance, I don't know, well, the Alien is really a franchise. There are many parts of it. But take into consideration, for example, the film Blade Runner, which was based on Philip K. Dick's book, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Now, Philip K. Dick wrote that book as a standalone story. And then a movie was based upon the book. It's very different from the book. I do recommend you read the book and watch the film if you are interested in this particular, work of art. But then, in the 21st century, a couple of years ago, I think, they decided to make a sequel to Blade Runner. I think it was called Blade Runner 2049, 2099, something like that. I haven't seen it, because I do not think that there was anything else that should be said about the story. The story began and the story ended, and it told something, right? It said something to the audience, to the reader, right? Philip K. Dick wanted to say something by writing the book, and then it is upon each and every individual reader to interpret the work of art in their own way. Any further ventures into this particular thing, expanding on it, writing prequels or sequels, it is nothing else than just milking, the thing, the work of art or the franchise for more money. If we look at another example, all right, let's say the Terminator, right? There are many Terminator films, but Terminator 1 and Terminator 2, The Judgment Day, are cult classics, and I believe that they said what they wanted to say. Right, James Cameron said everything he wanted to say about the story of Sarah Connor and her son John and the 800. Right, any further prequels or sequels, they didn't end up very well. Some of them were fun, especially the ones where Arnold was starring as well, and these films were then funny just because Arnold threw a catchphrase here and there which referred to the original films. Take Star Wars, for example. You've got the 3 original films, right? You've got A New Hope, you've got The Empire Strikes Back, and you've got the Return of the Jedi. And they made the prequels. All right, it was made by George Lucas. He had intended to make 6 films before he even released episode 4 or episode 1 or Star Wars as it was called at the beginning, right? So that's okay. But then Disney got involved and started milking the cow, and it just ended up disastrously. The Disney Star Wars sequel trilogy is a disaster. It killed Star Wars almost, right? The same thing with Watchmen. I haven't read before Watchmen. I haven't seen the Watchmen HBO series, even though it's got great reviews, but I don't care about reviews. I just really don't want to see it. And I haven't read the Doomsday Clock by DC Comics, which is a sort of a story, I believe, where the regular DC universe with the Watchmen universe, they merge and meet, right? And there is Dr. Manhattan meeting Batman or something like that. I read The Button, right? Which is like I believe it was the prequel of to the Doomsday Clock, where Batman found the button with a smiley face in his Batcave, where it was okay. And I think it wasn't even written by Tom King. Now we're getting to the next stage of my, take on the entire matter here. Now, we have established the fact that I don't like milking things that should be left on their own, right? That's my opinion. Your opinion can differ, right? There's another thing about that whole thing. Tom King, a bad writer. I'm sorry. My opinion. Well, actually, I do not apologize. It's my opinion, my take, my taste. I don't like Tom King. You know why? Because he turns every character, every comic book character that he touches, he turns him, and I'm mainly talking about male characters, he turns him into a cock, into a weeping, depressed husk of a superhero being, crying, weeping, complaining all the time, and absolutely, completely, deconstructing the character. Look at Mr. Miracle. Was it? Yes. And mainly, look at Batman. Look at Tom King's run on Batman. I'm so glad that Tom King isn't writing Batman anymore, or the main Batman title. I did not enjoy a single issue of Batman written by Tom King, because Batman was either, as I said, he was depressed, he was, because he wanted to marry Catwoman, but then she didn't want to marry him, and they didn't marry, and then, and all this thing about Cat, and when there was a fight scene, like in the vast majority of the cases, somebody fought the battle for Batman in the end, or somebody, it was necessary for somebody to help Batman because he couldn't win by himself. So one entire issue is about Batman lying in the bed or on the beach and talking to Catwoman and complaining that nobody understands him. Right, okay. Another issue was devoted to Batman, Superman, Lois Lane, and Catwoman going to a fair, riding, like these things that you ride at a fair. I don't now remember the name for it, but that's not Batman. Like, I don't have any problems with new things, right? With really taking a different look at certain characters, breathing a fresh air into something, but completely deconstructing an iconic character who has almost already become a modern legend. I just don't think that's right. And the sales and the fans' reviews just proved my point. Not many people liked Batman by Tom King. So that's why I don't really think that Rorschach being written by Tom King is a good idea. And one last thing, in that article, they said that Tom King, he himself mentioned that it is going to be a political book. Nothing against that, right? Politics has always been a part of literature. But in this day and age, it means that it's going to be extremely leftist. I don't know, I'm not a leftist. I don't talk about politics much, but if somebody asked me, I'm definitely not left-leaning. It's my opinion. And I don't really like all the socio-political situation in the world, because I think that it's nonsense. And that there is and has been equality for all, or there was equality for all people for a long time. But recently, this equality, this balance has been crippled by, the leftists. And now I am the devil. I am the oppressed man. The white man is the devil, and I can't really say anything. Anything I say can be used against me, right? So that's why I don't really want to read Rorschach by Tom King, because I know that the white man is going to be demonized. I know that Tom King is going to deconstruct everything that was or is good about Watchmen, and I don't think the story will be that interesting, or the dialogue, because I don't really enjoy anything that Tom King has written. I just don't like his style of writing. I don't like his philosophy. I don't like what he writes about. I'm sorry. I just, that's my opinion. No, I said sorry again. I do not apologize, right? So that was the male king of the franchise. That was Tom King. I don't really like his writing or his politics or whatever. Yeah, so that's it. And also, one thing, Watchmen, as well as, for example, V for Vendetta, also by Alan Moore, well, it's a product of its time. It is a book that was written at a certain period, and certain things were happening at that time. A lot of things, right? Watchmen was about, or is about, the Cold War era, right? V for Vendetta is about is really a critique of Britain, or the situation in United Kingdom when Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister. It was like really a critique of the society at the time and of the policy and the politics of Margaret Thatcher, right? So it is these things have already become historical books, right? And people, they like to change history nowadays. People like to deny history and facts. So I do not think that the Watchmen or the Rorschach series, written by Tom King, will have anything of any importance to say to me or many people, in fact. Nor do I think that it will be an enjoyable read. And you know what? I do really consider reading it now after making this video, just to prove my point. And you know what? When it comes out, I'm going to read it and I'm going to be making reviews about that. And in these videos, then I'm going to refer to this video and we'll see if I was right or not. All right? That's a deal. Okay, so what do you think, my friends? What do you think about everything that I said? Do you consider Watchmen to be a cult classic that shouldn't be touched and it should be milked for more money, and the other things that I have mentioned? And of course, do not forget to dislike this video if you don't like it, or like it if you like it, and subscribe to this unimportant channel of an unimportant geek talking about unimportant things. Well, that will be all from me, my friends. See you soon. I've been already talking for 17 minutes and something, so I'll just say bye.